Hi there, everybody. So, last time we talked a little bit about how title insurance is important. It protects you in situations where somebody might have made a mistake somewhere down the line when you were purchasing the property. In the next video, we'll talk a little bit about homeowners insurance. But for right now, what we're going to discuss is flood insurance. Now, generally speaking, you don't necessarily need to have flood insurance because for most properties, there's not a very significant chance that the property would be flooded in any given year. But there are some places where in an average year you would expect a certain higher chance of having flooding affect your home. And in a situation like that, you might be required to have flood insurance by your mortgage company if you have a mortgage. And then if you don't have a mortgage, you may still want to have it because it can protect you in a situation where you have a flood. So a lot of times you're going to see a flood take place somewhere near water, where you have a creek or a river or a lake, or in a situation where there's just a lot of water that runs through an area when there's a heavy rain. And so those kinds of situations warrant having flood insurance. And a lot of times you might not expect to see a lot of flooding in a place even though there's not much water nearby. Like, for example, if you have just a little creek that flows through the area, sometimes there might be flooding in a big section of the area nearby because the space is really flat. So I live outside of Kingsport in an area called Sullivan Gardens. And then there's a creek that runs through that area. And in the area where I live, it happens to be pretty flat. Now, in the house that I live in, it's sort of on a little bit of a hill. Even though there's a creek that flows behind me, there's no flood zone where I live because I think that if the creek overflows, it's going to have a long way to go before it gets anywhere close to my house. But there are a lot of homes that are built nearby that are closer to the river, or I guess closer to the creek, or they're not as high compared to where the creek is, and so as a result they have a potential to flood. And in a lot of areas nearby, there are just no houses built on the land that's there. And I think part of the reason for that is because that whole section is just so prone to flooding that putting a home there would just pretty much guarantee that it would be flooded very soon. Now, there are other areas in the Kingsport area that have flood zones for a lot of the homes. For example, there are some old homes, most of them are duplexes that are close to downtown. If you go to the area, I think it's called Cherokee Village, a lot of those homes are in a flood zone. The creek is pretty far away from a lot of the houses, but the land is so flat that there's a tendency for it to flood potentially. And so that's part of the reason that that you'd want to have flood insurance in a situation like that. So talk to your agent about any questions that you have when it comes to flood insurance. It might be required, so your mortgage company will just add it on to what you are required to have in order to get a mortgage. Or if you don't have a mortgage, you may still want to get it, and your real estate agent can help you figure that out. If you would like to talk to me about anything that's related to real estate, then you could give me a call at 423-579-0007. It's a real easy number to remember because it's got 0007 at the end. I'm trying to develop a nickname of 0007. Now, the next time we get together, we're going to talk a little bit about homeowners insurance, which is also something I would recommend in general for everybody. And I hope that everybody has a great day.